Hello YouTube. Today I'm going to talk about the all-new 2025 Lincoln Navigator and share my thoughts about it. I've always been a fan of Lincolns, and my love for Lincolns has grown ever further since I've owned my 2015 Lincoln MKZ as the one you see here. If you're new to my channel, I do ownership experience videos on my Lincoln MKZ, Oldsmobile Aurora, 2 GMC Envoys, and my latest purchase, which is a used Tesla Model 3 Performance. So check out my channel and hit that subscribe button. One more thing before starting the video: if you're looking for LED lights for your vehicles, check out Oxido LED lights and receive 15% off when using my promo code, which is GMC Lincoln. Let's get right into the video, shall we? Starting off with the front end, I'm loving the new light treatment. The headlights kind of remind me of the current Cadillac Escalade because of how thin they are, but I don't think you'll mistake this for an Escalade because the light bar that runs across the front end really stands out from the crowd. I like the illuminated Lincoln logo as well. We're looking at the black label trim with the jet package, so the grille is blacked out. It almost looks like an electric vehicle. There's also a lower grille as well. I've been seeing this kind of style with newer vehicles these days where they also have a lower grille. Overall, I think it's a very polarizing look up front, and it looks different compared to its main competitors, which is the Cadillac Escalade and the new Infiniti QX80, which I'm also a big fan of. Moving on to the side, this is where it gets a little controversial for me. The side view just looks odd, especially when you're looking towards the rear end of the vehicle. Although I'm sure it'll look much better in person, because I also felt 50-50 about the styling of the new Lincoln Nautilus when it came out. But after seeing them on the road, I have to say that the Lincoln Nautilus is a very good looking vehicle, especially from the front, and the Lincoln Navigator carries over a very similar front end look. This is the extended L model, which gives you that extra space behind the third row. It is large, and it's not trying to hide that by no stretch of the imagination. That being said, let's take a look at these massive 24-inch wheels riding on 285 width tires, a first for Lincoln. The base model comes standard with 22-inch wheels, which are quite large on its own, but this black label we see here has these massive 24-inch wheels. That is wild, and you might be wondering, will the ride be harsh? Well, Lincoln has adaptive Magna-Ride suspension on this thing, and let me tell you, it's a really good suspension setup, and the ride would be just as good compared to its competitors with air suspension. I have adaptive suspension on my 2015 Lincoln MKZ, and it does an amazing job switching between comfort and firm mode. That being said, I don't really think there's a need for air suspension on this Navigator, but it does come in handy when you're towing. Speaking of towing, this has an 8,000 pound capacity when it comes to towing, which is really impressive. Moving on to the rear end of the Navigator, it is huge, but also very simple and has a clean look to it. I'm also loving the modern boxy look going on here. It's a very attractive package, I think. What's also new for the Navigator is a split open tailgate. If you remember on the GM Trios, the back glass used to open, so you don't have to open the entire tailgate. Not sure if the current GM SUVs have that feature, but previous models did. On the new Navigator, you have a split tailgate, which opens the bottom lower section and the top half, like this. I really like this feature because you can have a tailgate party back here. That's literally the only thing I can think of. Let's talk about what's powering this beast. The only engine option available is the tried and true 3.5 liter EcoBoost engine, delivering 440 horsepower and 500 pound-feet of torque, paired with four-wheel drive for a robust performance. It's basically a carryover from the previous Navigator. I was surprised to see only one powertrain option, but I'm also happy that it's the 3.5 liter EcoBoost because Ford and Lincoln have fine-tuned this engine over the years, and for most part, it's a very reliable engine. I would take this engine over the current GM big body SUVs mainly because of reliability reasons. What do you guys think of this engine? Let me know in the comments down below. Moving into the interior, it's interesting to say the least. It's basically a bigger Nautilus in here because it has pretty much the same setup found in the Lincoln Nautilus. I'm going to be honest, I'm not a big fan of the 48-inch screen in here because it just seems like a gimmick to me. Sure, you can turn it off and keep it from distracting you, but is this really what people want in their interiors these days? You also have a smaller screen in the middle to control your music, HVAC controls and whatnot. Speaking of HVAC, there are no physical buttons, but the climate controls are always shown on the bottom lower section of the screen, so you don't have to go through menus to access the climate controls, which is a big thumbs up for me because it's always there and easily accessible. Something I don't like up front in this cabin is the placement of the grab handles on the pillar there. It seems a bit too busy having it there to an otherwise visually pleasing cabin. But I guess it's a truck thing to have it there and not on top of the door like pretty much every other vehicle. You also have the button gear selector, which is nice. I'm glad it's not on the screen. Just look at the amazing detail on this wood piece here. Lincoln sure stepped up the game when it comes to interior materials and quality. Here is a different color combo. It just seems like there's a lot going on in this cabin, but I'm sure you can get used to it. I also noticed that there seems to be a speaker on each side of the big screen, so that will give you an immersive sound experience. The top of the line Navigator gets a 28 speaker Revel Ultima sound system. I really can't wait to try that out. I've had experienced the 14 speaker Revel system in my 2019 MKZ that I used to own, and wow, that was an amazing experience, so I'm assuming 28 speakers should be no slouch. One thing I was excited to see in this cabin is pedal adjustments. I've always complained about luxury vehicles not having pedal adjustability, so I'm glad the new Navigator has implemented that. I don't think the current Escalade has adjustable pedals. Correct me if I'm wrong. Also, look at the detail on the speaker grill. It has basically 100 mini Lincoln logos on it. It's very cool to see. The seats look fabulous, and at the top trim levels you get 30-way power adjusting seats, and this quilting action going on here. I've sat in the 2024 Lincoln Navigator at the auto show this year, and I find the Navigator seats a lot more comfortable initially compared to the Escalade seats. The Lincoln seats are a lot more softer and supple compared to the Escalade, and I expect nothing less from Lincoln. I believe Lincoln still uses Bridge of Weir leather. I'm a big fan of it. It's very supple and supportive. The second row gets the same treatment as up front, so you have heated and cooled seats with massaging back here, which is definitely a step up. Everything is controlled through this mini touchscreen back here, which is nice. I'm really loving this third row because it carries the same material quality as the first and second row. The seats are heated back here, which is to be expected, and this has a 40-20-40 splitting seat, which means that you can individually fold down the middle seat here. This is a big plus when it comes to interior usability, I think. Lincoln really took advantage of the interior spacing inside here. It's definitely a good competitor in the segment. My final thoughts are very positive. I like the exterior, and I'm sure I'll love it even more when I see it in person. The interior is amazing as well, but like I mentioned before, I'm not a big fan of the screen in there. I could do without it. So would I buy this? And the answer is yes, but in a couple of years. The rule is to never buy a vehicle that's in its first year of redesign, but if you think about it, the engine and transmission are the same. It's just the interior and exterior that looks different. So what could possibly go wrong? The main reason why I would buy this vehicle is because the engine and the looks, honestly. The 3.5 liter EcoBoost engine has been tweaked over the years, and in 2017, the 3.5s received an upgrade. The upgraded engines received a number of changes, but the most noticeable of them is the addition of multi-port fuel injection and new turbochargers. The operation of multi-port fuel injection is combined with direct injection, so it covers a raised fuel output needs, but it also prevents a carbon buildup on the intake valves, keeping the engine on the same level of performance during a long mileage. This is very important to me as a consumer because we drive a lot and I don't want to be dealing with carbon buildup issues and such things. So the 3.5 liter EcoBoost is a big reason why I'd buy this vehicle over the competition. The Infiniti just released a new QX80, so it's too new to know how reliable it is. And the Jeep Grand Wagoneer is just so ugly, and reliability has been an issue with that vehicle. The GM Trios have been dealing with issues on their 6.2s and 5.3 liter V8 engines, so I don't want to take the risk with GM. I love V8s, especially naturally aspirated ones found in the GM trucks, but man, they need to get their things together. I can't wait to drive this Lincoln Navigator. Let me know your thoughts on this all-new Navigator in the comments down below. Hope you all enjoyed, and see you all next time.